This is the story of how a woman who married into one of the most powerful and famous families on earth ended up facing the kind of financial collapse most people could never imagine. A royal title, international fame, palace connections, luxury homes, wealthy friends, book deals, endorsements, television appearances, and decades of public attention. On the outside, Sarah Ferguson's life looked like the kind of story people dream about. But behind the royal image was a trail of spending, debt, scandals, failed businesses, broken partnerships, and desperate decisions that slowly turned privilege into pressure. Before we go deeper, if you enjoy royal stories, dramatic real-life downfalls, and the hidden side of fame that the public rarely gets to see, please subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot, and it helps us keep bringing you detailed stories like this with respect, research, and the full picture. Sarah Ferguson did not begin as a woman with no options. She married Prince Andrew, became the Duchess of York, and entered a world where money, status, access, and luxury surrounded her from every direction. She was not just close to royalty, she became royalty. She appeared at public events, lived inside the royal orbit, and became part of a family that represented wealth, tradition, and power to the entire world. But the strange thing about royal life is that once someone becomes used to it, stepping away from it can feel almost impossible. The clothes, the staff, the homes, the travel, the dinners, the security, the attention, and the endless sense of importance become more than a lifestyle. They become an identity. And for Sarah Ferguson, that identity would become very expensive to maintain. The roots of the entire disaster can be traced back to 1996, the year both Sarah Ferguson and Princess Diana finalized their divorces. Diana walked away from Prince Charles with a reported settlement worth around $22 million. Ferguson's settlement from Prince Andrew was reportedly much smaller, estimated at around $475,000. That gap tells the whole story before the story even begins. Diana left with enough money to build an independent life. Ferguson left with a royal title, public fame, and access to a world she could no longer afford. And according to her own later comments, it appears she may have accepted less because she wanted to preserve her relationship with the royal family. She once told Oprah Winfrey that she chose friendship with the family over money, saying she wanted friendship with the boss, meaning Queen Elizabeth. At first, that may sound loyal, it may even sound noble, but financially, it was a decision that would follow her for the rest of her life. Because $475,000 may sound like a lot to ordinary people, but it is not enough to maintain a royal lifestyle. It is not enough for private travel, luxury clothes, staff salaries, expensive homes, and the kind of spending that had already become normal in Ferguson's world. Royal author Robert Jobson reportedly described the problem very simply. Sarah had been introduced to a lifestyle, and even after the marriage ended, she kept living it. She had been pulled into a world of royal privilege, but when the financial support behind that world disappeared, the habits remained, and those habits became dangerous. According to biographer Andrew Lownie's account, Sarah Ferguson's spending was not just high. It was almost unbelievable. His biography, The Rise and Fall of the House of York, reportedly paints a picture of a household that looked less like the home of a divorced royal and more like a miniature court. At one point, Ferguson reportedly employed 17 staff members. That staff allegedly included a cook, a driver, a maid, a butler, a dresser, a nanny, 3 secretaries, a personal assistant, a lady-in-waiting, 2 gardeners, a flower arranger, and even a dog walker. According to the account, she had around 5 times as many staff as Princess Diana. And that single comparison says everything. Diana was one of the most famous women in the world, yet Ferguson was reportedly operating a household even more heavily staffed than hers. But staff was only the beginning. One former employee reportedly described the nightly food routine as something out of a medieval court. A whole side of beef, a leg of lamb, and a chicken would allegedly be placed on the dining room table every evening. Whatever was not eaten would sit there overnight and be thrown away the next morning. That image is powerful because it shows the deeper problem. This was not just spending. This was waste. This was a lifestyle built around the feeling that there would always be more. More food, more staff, more clothes, more travel, more credit, more chances. But eventually, every illusion runs into reality. The numbers became shocking. According to reports, Ferguson once ran up a bill of around £14,000 in a single month with a London wine merchant. She reportedly spent around £100,000 on clothes and once burned through £25,000 in a single hour at Bloomingdale's. One visit to Selfridges reportedly cost around £65,000 on clothes and party supplies alone. These are not normal mistakes. These are not occasional luxuries. These are patterns. And when patterns become this expensive, they become a financial trap. A person can recover from one bad purchase. They can recover from one reckless trip. But when the entire lifestyle is built on spending more than comes in, collapse is only a matter of time. Even small details from the reports show how disconnected the spending had become. Ferguson allegedly once sent her assistant on Concorde at a cost of around £5,000 just to deliver paperwork. Trips to New York reportedly required one car to take her to the airport and another car just for her 10 suitcases. She allegedly missed non-refundable flights, wasting thousands more in the process. And behind the glamour, former employees described an atmosphere of stress and chaos. One former aide reportedly said car journeys were the worst because Ferguson would sit on the phone screaming at employees, leaving people emotionally wrecked, and then wonder why they were unhappy. Some people reportedly lasted only half a day. By November 1995, the situation had become severe. Ferguson reportedly owed around £3.7 million. That was only 3 years after separating from Prince Andrew. Her financial situation had become so serious that her bank allegedly had to approve her before she could sign even small checks. But even that did not appear to stop the spending. According to Lownie's account, the strategy seemed to be denial. Bills would pile up at places like Harrods, and instead of settling them, she would allegedly continue moving forward as if the problem did not exist. The owner of Harrods, Mohammed Al-Fayed, reportedly did not press her to pay what she owed, and similar patterns were said to have happened at other shops and hotels. And then Queen Elizabeth stepped in. According to reports, the Queen bailed Ferguson out more than once. When Coutts Bank reportedly demanded £500,000 within 14 days in April 1994, the Queen allegedly covered the amount. But even royal patience has limits. Eventually, the rescues dried up. The Queen reportedly cut Ferguson off financially and even confiscated her fuel payment card. That moment matters because it shows the royal family had reached a breaking point. This was no longer a private embarrassment. It was becoming a reputational risk. And for the royal family, reputation is everything. Money can be repaired. Public trust is harder. Then came one of the lowest moments of Sarah Ferguson's public life, the 2010 Cash for Access scandal. An undercover reporter from News of the World, posing as a businessman, secretly filmed Ferguson allegedly offering access to Prince Andrew, who was then serving as a British trade ambassador, in exchange for £500,000. The footage reportedly captured her saying, £500,000 when you can, to me, open doors. She was also filmed accepting a briefcase containing $40,000 as a down payment. The scandal was humiliating, not only because of what was said, but because of what it revealed. It showed a woman still connected to royalty, still carrying a title, but apparently desperate enough to try to monetize access to her former husband. What made it even worse was the timing. Her American management company, Hartmore, had reportedly collapsed with debts of around $1 million. Newspapers claimed she was on the brink of ruin, with hundreds of creditors and debts possibly running into millions. Whether every figure was exact or not, the picture was clear. Sarah Ferguson was in serious trouble. After the scandal, she tried to rebuild. She apologized publicly. She gave interviews. She attempted to explain herself, to present the moment as a mistake made under pressure. But in public life, some images are difficult to erase. The image of a duchess accepting money in exchange for access became one of the defining scandals of her life. And yet, the financial problems did not end there. Ferguson tried to reinvent herself through business ventures, but one after another. The ventures either failed, collapsed, or became surrounded by controversy. That phrase, bonfire of vanities, is brutal because it suggests more than business failure. It suggests the burning down of illusions. The idea of Sarah Ferguson as a serious entrepreneur. The idea that brand power alone could create financial stability. The idea that royal fame could rescue every bad decision. But there was another connection that made her financial story even darker. Jeffrey Epstein. According to reports, Ferguson admitted accepting £15,000 from Epstein, claiming it was used to cover wages owed to her former assistant, Johnny O'Sullivan. But later reporting and files allegedly suggested a longer financial relationship, including help with rental payments and assistant wages. One reported 2009 email from Ferguson to Epstein read, "I urgently need £20,000 for rent today. The landlord has threatened to go to the newspapers if I don't pay. Any brainwaves?" She also reportedly referred to Epstein as her supreme friend and the brother she had always wished for. Those words became devastating when viewed in hindsight. Epstein was not just a wealthy contact. He was one of the most notorious convicted offenders of the century. Any connection to him carried enormous reputational damage. For Ferguson, already surrounded by financial scandal, the resurfacing of those emails created another public disaster. Everything worsened when a 2011 email calling Epstein a steadfast, generous, and supreme friend resurfaced in September 2025, according to the account provided. Within weeks, Ferguson was reportedly dropped from ITV's Loose Women and This Morning. Charities cut ties with her. Her latest children's book was reportedly pulled from publication in December 2025, with thousands of copies allegedly set to be destroyed. That is the cruel thing about reputation. It can take decades to build, but one resurfaced email, one scandal, one connection can cause institutions to step away almost overnight. Television shows step back, charities distance themselves, publishers reconsider, friends go quiet. And suddenly, the public figure who once seemed permanently visible begins to disappear. By 2026, according to reports, Sarah Ferguson owned no residential property anywhere in the world. The Belgravia townhouse she purchased in 2022 for £4.25 million reportedly sold in August 2025 for £3.85 million, a loss of around £400,000. Royal Lodge, the 30-room Windsor mansion where she had lived with Andrew for nearly 20 years on peppercorn rent, was reportedly vacated in February 2026. For a woman who once lived inside palaces and royal mansions, that is a dramatic fall. No fixed home, no clear business future, no stable public role, no strong institutional support. Reports placed her at wellness retreats across Switzerland, Ireland, and the Middle East. Other reports claim she may have been staying privately with wealthy friends.